Are you serious? Are you serious? Let's break down some important information going on around the globe. There is tragedy after tragedy. And oh, how the Lord Jesus told us that in the last days, perilous times, Paul said, perilous times will come. But we also know that Jesus told us in Matthew 24 that there would be all kinds of wars and rumors of wars, and nation would rise against nation, and kingdoms against kingdoms, and there'd be famines and pestilence and earthquakes, divers places, and all of these, the beginning of sorrow. So get a cup of coffee and get set and ready. Here we go. Listen to this. Nick of New York did some great research this morning. There's anger. There's anger on the streets of Bangladesh as this building that collapsed a couple of days ago has now, the death toll has now reached over 300 people. The textile workers have vented their frustrations this morning on April the 26th, 2013. Started burning cars and clashing with police as the death toll now reaches 300 following the collapse of a building housing factories that made low-cost garments for us here in the West. Miraculously, rescuers are still pulling people alive from the rubble. 72 so far been pulled from the rubble alive, following 41 found in the same room overnight. 2 days after the 8-story building collapsed on the outskirts of the capital. It was an 8-story building, and each floor had factories doing sewing garments and different types of textiles. And no doubt there was too much weight, and the thing collapsed. Just a terrible situation going on right now. Now, also, Nick of New York, there's been a fire, a terrible fire in a Russian psychiatric hospital. 38 people have died, most of them in their beds, in a fire that raged through a psychiatric hospital near Moscow on Friday, raising questions about the care of the mentally ill patients in Russia. The fire, which broke out around 2 a.m., swept through a single-story building at the hospital, a collection of wood and brick huts with bars on some windows that was home to people sectioned off by the Russian courts. By mid-morning, a few blackened walls were left standing. The roof had caved in on top of the twisted metal of what was once beds. Bodies lay on nearby grass covered with blankets. Only 3 people escaped from the fire there in north of Moscow, prompting speculation that the patients were heavily sedated or strapped down to their beds. And then the beds catch on fire, or the building catches on fire, and they all burn up alive. A terrible story. And the inhumane, and the lack of, there's no regard for the human life, the mentally challenged. In some of these cultures, they just shove them aside. It just gets so ugly. What's wrong with our humanity? Are you serious? What's wrong with us? Humanity. Why do we treat each other so cruel? Death toll in Nigeria shootout with Islamist militants reaches 25. That's right, 25 people have been killed in clashes between Nigerian security forces and the suspected Islamic Boko Haram militants who robbed a bank. Oh, I thought they were peace-loving people. Now they're out committing criminal actions like robbing banks and shooting Christians in the head. Nigeria is completely out of control with these radical Islamists. Let's face it, it's out of control. Well, I can't yell like I want to. But the Boko Haram militants who robbed a bank and attacked police station in northeastern Yobe said on Friday the military had earlier said 7 people were killed in the shootout, but now 5 policemen and 20 gunmen have been confirmed dead, and over 9 million Nigerian naras have been stolen from the commercial bank. So it's completely out of control in Nigeria. A lot of times this Boko Haram Muslim militants will go blow up churches or burn down churches, or go to Christian colleges, or go to universities and find Christians and pull them out and shoot them in the head, or use machetes to behead them. This is all going on in Nigeria, folks. Nick, I want to thank you for that report. Also, Nick of New York got this to me. Iraq, its crisis is getting out of control now. 200 people are dead. As Baghdad's reporting on this April 26, 2013, Iraqi's prime minister warned his country is in a crisis, as nearly 200 people were reported killed in 4 days of fierce fighting between the troops and the Sunni Arabs. A region teeming with sectarian violence is threatening to return Iraq to its sectarian warfare, according to Prime Minister Maliki. He said in a nationally broadcast speech on yesterday, April 25th, 2013, security forces must impose security in Iraq, but the nations overall must come together and end the strife. He said, calling on individual Iraqis, tribal leaders, clergy, and media to take the initiative and not to be silent about those who want to take the country back to the sectarian civil war. Maliki's remarks came as his security forces intensified the battle against armed Sunni tribesmen, some linked to the insurgent group led by former officials of ousted and executed President Saddam Hussein's Ba'ath Party. So see, 10 years of war, 11 years of war in Iraq, it doesn't matter. Radical Islam is going to continue to butcher each other, Christians, and everyone else in their way if you don't agree with them. And that continues to be what's going on. Speaking of wars and rumors of wars, of course, we have heavy fighting is being reported this morning north of the Syrian capital of Damascus. And of course, Isaiah 17:1 says, behold, the burden of Damascus, behold, Damascus is no longer a city, but a ruinous heap. Well, Syrian government troops have pushed into the two northern Damascus neighborhoods today, Friday, April 26, 2013, triggering heavy fighting with rebels as they tried to advance under air and artillery support, activists are saying. The drive was the latest in days of long offensive by government forces in and around the capital, an apparent bid to secure President Assad's main stronghold against his rebel challenges. Now, we do know that the rebels that are fighting Assad are really Libyan freedom fighters who are the Muslim Brotherhood and are being supported by the United States of America. Yet at the same time, Assad is being reported constantly is using chemical weapons. I want to thank Penny for getting this information to me from the BBC. Growing evidence of chemical weapons being used in Syria. There is a limited but growing evidence that Syrian government troops have been and are using chemical weapons, according to the UK Prime Minister David Cameron. It is extremely serious. This is war crimes. On Thursday, the White House said that the U.S. intelligence agencies believe with varying degrees of confidence that Syria had to be using nerve agent sarin on a small scale. So now the Obama administration is beginning to agree and confirm that Assad is using chemical weapons. Now the Israeli government of Benjamin Netanyahu said it last week that they're 100% positive that they're using it. And now David Cameron of England, of the United Kingdom, is saying, yes, they are using chemical weapons. So there's going to be a debate on what is Obama and NATO and his NATO allies are going to do. There is so much going on in the world. Are you saved? Please. We had 375 people approximately give their life to Jesus Christ. They're all going to be baptized on May the 4th there in Jamaica. We had 120 on Sunday morning, 30 on Sunday night, 25 on Monday night, and over 200. I didn't get a total. I didn't get an exact count. They have them. but unbelievable. Give your life to Jesus Christ.